All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we have a very special training with Susana Bermudez. Welcome, Susana. How are you?
Great, Gary. How are you? I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And let's do this.
Excellent. I'm super excited as well. Thanks so much for joining us. And this is a live presentation. Susana is going to walk you through how to source from Mexico. So today's theme is to really discover Mexico sourcing. As you know, right now, there's a perfect storm in supply chain. It's especially hitting you hard if you're sourcing from China. There's delays like at the port of LA, Long Beach. There's like 70 plus ships anchored there. They're stuck. They can't even get in. The shipping freight cost over $20,000 a container. I mean, it's really wild. This is like once in 100 years phenomenon. So it makes sense to look for some alternatives so we can kind of bypass all this fiasco. That's why I wanted to invite Susana on today. She's an expert when it comes to sourcing from Mexico. So she's really going to walk you through the details of is Mexico the new China? I mean, can we really replace China? We're going to find that out. What type of products you can expect to get from Mexico, how to source from Mexico, some costs, the quality issues, language barriers, cultural differences, also some shipping and supply chain best practices so you guys can really learn more about this. So before we get started, because we are live, I see some people are already in. If you can please type your name and where you're joining us from in the chat, that will really help us know who's with us here today. So meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'd like to quickly introduce Susana. Susana Bermudez is an entrepreneur working to bring small businesses and entrepreneurs in Latin America really help them with the attention and growth they deserve. She's worked with many e-commerce sellers, find high quality and cost-effective sourcing for their products from Latin America. She's working with a lot of small business owners to find other solutions besides China, right? So by supporting manufacturing in Latin America, she is also helping a social cause. She's creating new jobs. She's helping employment, which can allow people to stay in their countries as well, rather than moving to a different country. So she's going to share more about that as well. So I really wanted to invite her because we haven't had anybody speak about sourcing from Mexico, and I think Susana is definitely the right person. So welcome, Susana. Can you share a little bit about how did you get into this whole sourcing game? I'm curious.
Yeah. Thanks again, and to your audience to be here and try to learn more about something that it's everybody's talking about that right now. So a little bit about me. Like I entered this e-commerce craziness around 2 years ago. Um, Basically, what I was doing is I was helping manufacturers in Latin America, mostly Mexico, to find a way to enter the U.S. market. Right. Most of those manufacturers were very interested in, just getting to retail like the old way. And I started to discover that probably in this era, it was not the best way to enter the US market. Um, so I started digging and researching about like e-commerce. I literally didn't know much about e-commerce. Also, for example, Amazon, I didn't know what Amazon was. I mean, I knew that Amazon exists, but I thought it was like just a big store like selling things. And then I started realizing, oh no, this is normal people with small businesses um, selling products in this platform, right? So I start talking to the manufacturers and telling them the idea of starting to sell their products in Amazon. It was very complicated for them at that point to understand that. Then I learned that there was private labeling, and that's how I start like getting in contact with many of the sellers, right? So when the sellers start telling me, "Oh, I need to manufacture this. I'm manufacturing this in Asia or whatever." So I start thinking, well, there's a lot of opportunities for, just the manufacturer start making this product for them. So basically, that's how I start in this. Like I mentioned at the beginning, most of the things that I knew at that point was like how to manufacture. So now I know more, but there's certain industries, the automotive industry, that's how I start. Um, but yeah, like you said, right now there's a huge opportunity, um, since COVID and before COVID, to do this. But I understand that it's a process. Um, there is a lot of things that we have to learn in the manufacturing side and also in the seller side, to be able to start doing things. So basically, that's how I start in all this.
Excellent. And I agree. It is, when you get started, there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of question marks, and, Mexico is very different from China. So I'm glad that you're able to join us today. So before we get started, I'd like to quickly welcome many of you that are joining us today. Welcome to Randy from Illinois. Welcome Samuel from Ecuador. Samuel sources from Mexico, Colombia, and Ecuador. Good day. Welcome Deborah from Gold Coast, Australia. G'day. Welcome Marco from Mexico.
Yay!
Charlene from Loganville, Georgia. Yes, Mexico. We got Mexico in the house. We got welcome Kimberly from Perth, Australia. Ron from Canada. Jen from Ontario, Canada. Philomena from Wright, Georgia. Lizzie from Sydney. Sandy from California. Sean Copets from Ohio. Patty from Northern California, San Francisco. Jenny from the UK. Ayman from Morocco. It's too late.
Wow.
It's 1 a.m. staying up to watch the live. Thank you for joining us, Ayman. I hope we will make this worthwhile and you won't fall asleep. Thank you. And Jen from Melbourne, and Angel. Good to see you, Angel from Australia. Julie from Minnesota. And Texie Dancer from San Antonio, Texas. Bob from Kings. You're in Texas, right?
What?
Susana?
Yes, I'm in Bernie,
Excellent.
Texas.
Excellent. Bob from Kingston, Washington. Izzy from NYC, and Becky from Salt Lake City. Excellent. We got a full house today. Let's, without further ado, let's go ahead and get the show started. I'm going to bring up the slides and let me know if everything looks and sounds good. Susana, does this look good to you?
Yep.
All right. So without further ado, I'll hand the keys over to you. Oh, guys, if you have questions, please save them until the end. We'll have some time for Q&A. All right. So thanks so much, guys. And over 200 of you registered for the webinar, and I saw you had a ton of questions. I shared them with Susana before the presentation. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can. All right. So please make sure to stick around till the end. We'll get to the Q&A. Thanks so much. So Susana, the show is yours.
Thank you. First I want to start with something. I want to clarify, and it's very important that people understand that even if we say that we think that Mexico is the next China, we say that like, because I want to say that because I truly believe that's what's going to happen in a certain way. But Mexico and Latin America, it's very different. Like, we're very unique. We have, we do things differently, right? So it's very important that you keep in mind that it's a different culture, just like Asia. And there's a few things where you're going to see through the presentation that there's a lot of opportunities and also a lot of challenges, but I really love to see that as an opportunity, right? So if you want to go, Gary, to the next slide so I can start so we're going to talk about trades, tariffs, quality, logistic, lead times, inventory management. So if you want to go to the next one. Okay, so one of the good things is that the United States has a lot of trades with around 20 countries, and some of these countries are in Latin America. Mexico is one of them, Costa Rica, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Peru. Right now, we're going to focus in Mexico, right? But since NAFTA in 1984, this has been like a major thing for the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, right? So also, it's very important for people to know that already Mexico has a lot of international trades, not just with the U.S., but within the other countries that are next to Mexico too. So if you want to go to the next slide. So when we talk about tariffs, this is a huge thing, right? 90% of the products do not pay taxes that come from Mexico. So as I see it, this is a huge opportunity for, when it comes to cost, so we can be more compared to the prices that probably the sellers are paying right now, right? So if you want to go to the next slide. And I know that...
Susana, if I can just, Susana, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to emphasize this point. If I understand correctly, this means that there's no 25%, some people call it the Trump tariff, or, China tariff, right? So compared to Mexico, that's zero. So immediately you're saving 25% off the landed cost, right?
That's correct. There is just a few that pay tariffs, but in some cases it's just like 0.3%. So it's also still very low. And it's like steel and some textiles and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a very, very small amount that, that's one of the huge advantage that we have in Mexico.
Yeah. So guys, this is huge, right? Immediately you're saving 25% off the bat, probably more, because there's this trade agreement. I'm not sure if it's NAFTA or there's some other agreement. I'm sure Susana will help us learn more about that. But that's a huge point, guys. So don't forget that. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, and I didn't want to talk too much about that in particular, because there's a lot of information on the U.S. website. It's USTR. I think I have it if you can go back to the last slide. Back. There you go. Is that one? That's USTR.gov. So you can find more information about that there if you're interested. But I didn't want to go deeply on that, just because the most important thing is that right now there is no tariffs on the 90% of the products, right?
Awesome. That's great to know. All right, let's keep going, Susana.
Yep. So quality. I know a lot of people is very, very, very concerned about this. And I would like to say that when people think about quality, it means something different for everybody, right? And not all the time, or in many cases, quality is not equal to the price of the product. So I will not be too concerned about the quality, because that's going to depend on, and it's something that we're going to talk about, on how much do you know your product, and how much can you share the information that you can share with the manufacturer to get the quality that you really want. Because sometimes, and I've seen cases with clients, that they are manufacturing in China and they have a product, and then they think it's quality, and then when they start manufacturing in Mexico, they say, oh no, this is quality. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Also, there is an entity that is called Profeco. It's a government entity that it's in charge of the quality inside of Mexico for their goods, this entity like makes sure that publishing studies about the different products that are out there. And so I think it's very important if people can just like research about this if they want to sort their products in Mexico, because the interesting thing is that they publish all the products even if they're from China in Mexico. They put, for example, Mexico, China, El Salvador, and other countries that manufacture the products that are inside Mexico. So later we'll show you an example of that. When it comes to quality, again, go back one. Yeah. So when it comes to terms of quality, there is a lot of, and this is something that people don't know, and I realized that there is a portion of people in the US that already know this, and this is the big companies, big companies that already are manufacturing in Mexico. Not from like, they've been manufacturing in Mexico for more than 20 years probably, or I don't know, some of them much more. So I know that a lot of people think that in Mexico, oh, what they do in Mexico, just tequila, tacos, all those things, right? But they don't imagine the type of stuff. Actually, I challenge you guys that go around your houses or your offices or your own clothes and check what is where is made of, right? And I can guarantee that some of you will find, oh, this is made in Mexico, and I never realized that. Maybe a chair, maybe a table, maybe a jacket or shoes or things like that. So right now Mexico, it's there's more than 160 countries that are consuming Mexican products. So if you go to the next slide, and this is the slide that I was talking about, the example. If you see, there is like 5 different type of boxers, different brands, and let's see, 3 of those are made in Mexico, right? 2 of those are made in El Salvador. So this is one of the examples that the government, it's also making sure that the quality is there, like in sizing, in the fabrics, in certain aspects. So that's why I say I will not be too worried about the quality, because there is big brands already doing this in Mexico. So if you go to the next slide, there you go. Ford, Fender, General Motors. I found, I put that picture because the other day I was in Target, and that's, you can see, and that's the sign says made in Mexico. So if you go and look closer, that's what I'm talking about. You can go to stores right now and you can see, oh, there's a lot of things made in Mexico, and I never thought. It's just that maybe we're just not aware. Abercrombie and Finch also, there's a lot of brands that already manufacture in Latin America. This one is Abercrombie and Finch is manufactured in Guatemala. Yep.
Susana, can I ask a quick question for those of you that are not in the US right now? And it's very interesting because I see on that table there's a sign that made in Mexico. Are you seeing more like made in Mexican products, and even like our stores highlighting that this is made in Mexico, kind of like made in USA? Is this something that consumers are wanting more?
Yes, totally. And that's why I wanted to bring this example, because the mentality on quality and like price wise is changing, and I think that's why they highlight this in the stores, so people can be just aware of where where this is made, you know. So I think again that's also a big thing right now, for people to just be aware. Maybe the same product that you're selling right now in e-commerce, it's around there, and it's also there's also a manufacturing doing this, so that will give you, you know, a big opportunity to understand that if they are making that in Mexico, why you can do it, right?
Excellent. Let's keep going, Susana.
Yeah. Okay, logistics. um there is a lot of opportunities here too, because the proximity of Mexico with the United States, it's a very nice thing to have, because we can send all the products uh, through the ground. Um, and I know many people ask, "Oh, but what's the cost and all that?" You know, as everything that will depend. Uh, but if I can give you, throw you an example, FTL could be around $2,000. You know, uh, a 53 feet container. That's what could cost you. You know, $2,000 to move it from Mexico City to Laredo. You know, that's one of the borders. So just there, knowing that the shipping from China or from Asia, it's so high right now. uh, that's another opportunity. It's a big opportunity, you know, that you can. Yep.
Susanna, sorry, I think this is super important. So if I understand correctly, you said for a full container load, 20-foot container is $2,000 from Mexico
Yeah,
to
it's a 53 feet container. Yeah.
53 feet, 53.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's bigger than a 40-foot container. So this is moving from Mexico City to where you said, to the border, or to
Yeah.
like to
That.
California, or
Yeah.
yeah.
No. To Laredo, to the border.
Laredo is the border.
Yeah, Laredo is the border. It's
Okay,
one of the
please
borders.
excuse my ignorance. How do you spell Laredo?
Laredo. Laredo.
Laredo. Okay,
So Laredo
got it.
is the side, is the side in Mexico, and then Nuevo Laredo is the other side, the U.S. side.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you, Ron, for clarifying. 53
Yeah,
feet
from
five container
it's
from
around.
Laredo.
It's from Mexico
Okay,
City to Laredo.
excellent. Thank you so much, guys. I love how this is a mastermind. I love how you guys are contributing to this to help everybody learn. That's number one for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm super excited. Okay, sorry
Yeah,
to off
it's
rail
a
you.
dry. It's a the other day someone explained me. It's a dry band. Um, that's what they call it, like the dry
Okay,
band.
dry band. Got
Uh-huh.
it. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, guys. All right, excellent. Paulina says great info. Okay, let's keep going, Susanna.
Yep. Oh, okay. We're talking about
Yeah,
lead times. So this
yeah.
also depends on if the product is already, like, let's say in the market, that the manufacturer already is manufacturing this product. The lead times could be very, very, very fast. I had a client that in 4 days he has his pallets in the border, like just in 4 days. So of course it will depend on the product, if you need to do modification to the product or not. So all those things are variables that we need to take in account. But the difference between Asia and Mexico could be, you know, that's another opportunity. The lead times could be less. If I manufacture the product, let's say in 1 month, and then in 4 days, I can have it in the border. So then, you know, you're winning 2 months probably, or 3 months. And like right now, people are been waiting for their products for 4 months or maybe more, you know. So that's something that is very important, that they can have their product, um, in a very fast way.
Yes, just to compare, there was a study recently that I wrote about in our newsletter last week. The average transit time from a factory in China to shipped all the way like by sea from like for example Port of Shanghai to Port of LA to you get your shipped through and clear customs, etc. It's 73 days. 73 days. This is right now as of last month.
Yep.
I'm curious, what is the equivalent, Susana, from Mexico? Let's say from factory in Mexico, you said it could be as quick as 4 days to the border, but what about after the border? How does like the customs clearance work? Are they as backlog as Long Beach? And let's say if we want to ship it to like a Southern California warehouse, how on
Yeah.
average, how would that look like?
Yeah. Again, it will depend, just because like right now I've didn't have like any problem with my clients, the clients that I have right now, with the pass from the merchandise from Mexico to the US. Sometimes it takes like 4 hours or 12 hours or just one day to go from the border to the other side. So
Mhm.
in terms of what happens next in the US,
Mhm.
that will be it's gonna depend
Mhm.
on where your warehouse is, or if you're doing FBA, and so that will depend. One of the last shipments that we make from it was from Monterrey to one of the cities. I think it was the city in Houston, Texas. It took them like 2 days, probably.
2 days.
But
Awesome.
that doesn't depend. That's something that I don't know. I can guarantee from the, because I'm not the expert in logistics, but what I can tell you is what it takes from the manufacturer to the border in Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
That's
that's
pretty much
still
what I
much
can.
faster. I mean,
No,
it
yeah,
doesn't take an expert to know you'll save a ton of time, and time is money, right? And if you can
yep,
get your product in stock,
that's
for
true.
and also okay, yeah, okay, let's keep going. I know you got a lot to cover, Susanna. Yeah.
Yeah,
Should we go to the next slide?
yes.
Okay. And then Seb had a question in the chat. Yes, the replay will be available in our YouTube channel, Seven Figure Seller Summit YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you hit subscribe. This way you'll be notified the next time we have another awesome speaker like Susana. All right. So thanks guys for your support. All right, Susana, let's keep going.
Yeah. So on the inventory management, what I see here is that one of the things that the manufacturers are doing here is, for example, if the seller wants to buy in total, I don't know, 1,000 units, right? They can send 200 units each week, for example. So the seller doesn't have to, import everything and have it in a warehouse, because of, again, the proximity and the lead times. So a few manufacturers, what they're doing is just they save, or they keep manufacturing. It depends on the quantity that the seller buy, but if they can keep 200 in their warehouses, and then when the seller is ready, they can say, okay, now I want 200 more, and then 400 more, or they can manage that, so you will not end up with a tons of inventory. That I'm pretty sure that right now a lot of the sellers are going to be, if they didn't get the products by now, they will get stuck with a lot of inventory that they didn't get for the holidays or things like that. So I think that's one of the huge advantage that Mexico has. This is one of my favorite parts. Um, one of the things that I personally think as a sourcing agent is that you really need to know, if you really care about your business, you really need to know about your product. You really need to know the materials, the component, the engineering, you need to know, because when you know this, it's easier to go to the manufacturer and ask them if they can manufacture that. Why I say this about the research, because I had many clients that comes to me and say, oh, can you manufacture this, or find me a manufacturer for this? And I say, yes, I can see that it's a pencil, but what is made of, what's the components of that, what is the type of the ink? There is many things that we need to realize about our products. And also, it's very interesting because there's people that said, oh, I'm pretty sure that I cannot manufacture this in Mexico. And sometimes they're looking for the wrong name, right? Because we have names in Spanish different, and for many of the products. And then they end up saying, oh, I Google translate the name, and I try to find that, and there is none. So that's why I invite people to do research on their product. I understand that it's in different language, but we work different. It's not that, like, there's some products that are easier to just show a manufacturer and tell them, oh, can you manufacture this? But even though I had the experience with wood, there is a lot of sellers that their products are made of wood, but they don't know what wood is that, what type of wood, you know. So it's kind of complicated, try to compare apples to apples if you don't know that. And that's why I also tell my clients, if you can send me a sample, and I will make it, I will deliver that to the manufacturer, or at least I can figure it out for them, and just communicate with the manufacturer and say, you know, this client needs this, right? So that's why I think it's very important to know, really know your product, if you want to, create a relationship with a manufacturer for the future.
Excellent.
Okay. Another question that we get a lot is that the categories that you can manufacture in Mexico, right? So I put some samples here. So clothing and textiles, of course, home textile like bed sheets, quilts, kitchen textiles, table textiles, appliance textiles, all kinds of clothes for men, for women. Actually, also the material, the raw materials, people can source their fabrics from Mexico. So I think that's very important. On other category, that it's toys. Yeah, there is also a lot of toys that are made in Mexico, that can be made in Mexico. And I put just examples of, like, preschool toys, outdoor toys, toys made from wood, from plastic. There is EBA also, products, or toys that can be manufactured. Plastic too.
Susanna,
Hmm.
Susanna, sorry. Can I ask a quick question about the raw materials and fabrics? I know you're not an expert in everything, but
Yeah.
as we're sourcing away from China, I visited factories in India, for example, and then they
Mhm.
had textiles. But the thing is, some of the raw components, like
Yeah.
the zippers, for example, they were imported from China. So what in Mexico, we had a lot of people ask about the questions, like the raw materials, are they local to like Latin America and Mexico? Or are they imported from China? Because if they're imported from China, then that's
Yeah.
like another, bottleneck,
Issue.
because they gotta wait like, 73 days, right? So how does that look like? If you're
Um,
familiar with that.
I want to say that there is a lot of products in textiles that again, Mexico has agreements with other countries from the area, from the continent, and they source those from them. Cotton is, for example, in Peru. I know that many of the manufacturer that I know in Mexico, they source some of the cotton from Peru. You know, so I don't know in every product, but there is a lot of for sure there is a lot of manufacturers that they do their own textiles, or they are fully integrated. And when I mean fully integrated, it's for example, there is one manufacturer in Colombia, and that they do for shoes, for flip-flops, for example, they do the component, and then they do the entire process into converting that to the flip-flop, right? So that's you it's surprising, but there is a lot of fully integrated manufacturers within Latin America and within Mexico that could fulfill some of the raw materials from other countries that are around.
Excellent. So I assume that will be a lot faster than shipping it from China. Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if everything, right?
Yeah.
I will. Okay. I will need 20 more years to know every product.
Right. But I mean, on a high level, it's good that you're sharing. So it seems like the raw materials, they're sourced from closer places within Latin America, so they're not, like privy to the whole.
In the cases that in the cases that I know and that I am aware of, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So let's continue. Should we go to the next slide?
Yeah, I put some other categories. So home decor, that's I think that's one of the biggest categories that we can source from Mexico also. Like you can see in gardening products is flower pots, gardening tools, shade products, fences, decorations. Then furniture is a big thing in Mexico. There is a store that I don't know if it's in the entire US, but it's a big brand here. It's called Living Spaces, and they just opened their manufacturer in Tijuana. So it's the Tijuana, it's in Mexico, and they just opened a big facility there, and they're manufacturing their furniture there. But also there is a lot of medium manufacturers for wood products that they are starting to ramp up, and like I said, it's a learning curve for everybody, because sometimes that's not something that they're doing right now, but they're willing to do it for the sellers. So that's one of the good things. They will take the time to go through the process of if they can do it, and that's how they can grow together. Then home decor, also candle holders, mirrors, vases, frames, ceramic, a lot of ceramic, copper products, natural fiber products, supplements. Also, there's a few manufacturers in Mexico that can go through supplements. Medical equipment has been a huge thing that Mexico has been doing, also with the automotive and all that. So exercise equipment, medical materials, herbs, handcraft products, eco-friendly products. That's another category that it's been there for a while, but it's ramping up a lot right now with the entire environmental situation that we have in the world. So Mexico is becoming a very good source for this eco-friendly products. Like I mentioned before, foam products, packaging is also it's starting to be a huge thing, because the necessity of many of the sellers to have good quality and nice packaging. There's a lot of manufacturers that are like buying the right machines, and being more specific with certain products that they didn't manufacture in the past. So that's a good thing. Well, then food, shoes, pet supplies, those are some of the categories. Also, things in leather are Mexico are very, very strong. I said, yeah, shoes. Yeah, you want to go to the next one? Okay. So opportunities and challenges. So I like to see more opportunities in things rather than challenges itself, or problems or things. The culture, it's one of the things that it's an opportunity in some way, but it's also a challenge. It's a challenge because, of course, the language, it's there. The culture, it's in Latin America, for some stuff we're very slow. So you guys cannot expect like it's in like have a quote in 2 days or in 24 hours, because sometimes that will take them more time. We have like we say in Costa Rica. I'm from Costa Rica, and we say in Costa Rica pura vida, so means pure life. Just kick. We're more calm. We are more calm in those matters, right? So our culture is more laid back. So that could be an opportunity in some cases, because there's a lot of people that get like so frustrated. Oh, they're not answering, or this or that. So I think you have to go with the flow, and it's different. It's not China, it's other culture. We're used to do things in a different way, but that doesn't mean we cannot speed things up if we're gonna see benefit from both sides. I already mentioned the language barrier, even though it's very important to mention that a lot of people in Mexico, they speak English. Mostly the biggest manufacturers or the medium manufacturers, they probably have people that speak English within their organization. So that's one thing. But like I mentioned, in the language also, it's a challenge and it's an opportunity, because people can start looking into the words to see what their products are. Lead times, we already talked about lead times. Other opportunity that I see and that I want to really make you think about, that if you're a seller, is that if you're planning to scale your business or make your business a long-term business, you can start digging into opportunities to partnership with manufacturers in Mexico, because they're open. They've been serving probably their own markets for a long time, so they don't know how to do things in the US. But if you go to them and you make like a kind of partnership, they can probably be open, and you can grow with that manufacturer, and be creative and create more products every time, and make variations for your product. So I think they're very open to this, to do things like this. And of course, we already talk about proximity. So that's me. That's if you want to contact me, you can go to info@manufacturersuppliers.com, and I'd be more than happy to also answer your questions if you have more questions, or if you needed to have a deep conversation on your product, and check what we could do for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Susana. Can you talk a little bit about your business and service? How do you help sellers?
Yeah. Well, some of the sellers come to me and say, Susana, I've been sourcing this product from Asia. I want to know if you can help me to source. Some of them just want the contact of the manufacturer, but some of them want the help through the entire process, so we offer both things. Many of them decide to go through us helping with the entire process, because if it's, for example, for the first order or for the first contact, for them it's very important to be able to communicate what they want to communicate to the manufacturer, right? And also we have a big network of manufacturers that we personally know the owners, so that facilitate a lot the negotiations for the sellers. So that's how we're helping the sellers, at least with the first order, so they can get that order like smoothly, and then they can go from there.
I see. So like in our e-commerce world, there's all this jargon. There's like, sourcing from China, there's like trading companies, sourcing agents. Is that kind of like the role that you play, Susana?
Yeah, I yes, kind of.
Or if it's something different, please correct me if I'm wrong. So
No.
I just want to make sure everyone understands, how you can help, because you've already dropped a ton of knowledge, and I'm sure there are some people that want to connect with you to learn more.
Yeah, no. Well, I like to tell people, like in like as a joke, that I'm literally think that I'm Alibaba but manually in Latin America, right? Because it's something like that. They come to us and they say, I need to manufacture, I need to get out of China, I need to manufacture this. You think it's more like a consulting part, but also I know I can help them with my contacts, to be able to go there. Or sometimes it's just I'm just like a connector, and they can start the relationship with those manufacturers if I can introduce them to them in a way that will work for both parties, right? For them and for the manufacturers. But that, to be honest, my biggest, I see this as my mission. I would love to see more more sellers buying from their own continent, because like you mentioned at the beginning, I think that we need to be stronger as a continent. And if we make grow the manufacturing in Latin America, like we can be able, to not have to depend so many on these things of like the shipping stuff and all those things that are like headaches right now. So what if we just look to this same side of the to this other side of the continent, and look for that. And in my mind, what I think is going to be happening is that if we do this, we can help more families. I create a program that it's called Crece en tu país, so means grow in your country. And I think if we help the manufacturers to grow, what it's going to happen is they're going to have to hire more people, and those people can stay in their countries, and they don't have to risk their lives trying to come here to the US, try to look for a better life, and also it's Mexico for some of the cities in the US is 1 hour away, 2 hours away, less than 10 hours away. Probably it's not a 14-hour flight, or it's all the headache of trying to deal with many of the things that they're like dealing with right now as sellers.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a very noble mission. I agree with you. I mean, many parts of the world, families are struggling to make ends meet. So the fact that you're able to help create jobs, keep families together, I think that's a very noble effort. And I salute you for that, Susana.
Thank you.
I'd like to just quickly address the Q&A, because we only have about 10 minutes left, and we have some questions, if that's okay with you, Susana. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, great. So I'm going to address the live questions first, and if we have time remaining, then we will draw upon the pre-submitted questions. So our first question that I see in the chat was from earlier. 1 second. Sorry, there were a lot of comments. Oh, so if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Okay. I saw an earlier question about, Kevin asked, how can I find out what manufacturer sells what products, like a Mexican Alibaba?
Well, that's a question that I get a lot. Unfortunately, right now, there is none. What I can promise is going to be there soon. I hope next year. Like, that's something that we've been working on, to be honest, because like right now, this is the thing. There is a lot of manufacturers that they didn't even know. I mean, they didn't even have a website. And why is that? Because they've been serving their own markets for so many years that it was not a need. So it doesn't mean that they're not there, but that's kind of also the challenge, that is none there's none websites like Alibaba that you can just go and type any product that you need and you will get the manufacturer there. But I promise you guys that we're working very, very hard on that.
Awesome. Okay. And Diary of a Food Geek asks, what about durable goods?
Durable goods mean like food?
Would you like to clarify that? I believe these are like non-perishable goods, like, I'm not sure actually. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
like tables, like not stuff that you just like buy and throw away, like maybe like furniture. But I believe you said that Mexico does manufacture these type of products, right? Like these
Yeah.
more like
But I
long-lasting
think
stuff.
it says food. Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Okay. If you'd like to clarify, please drop that in the chat. But I got to keep going. All right. Let me see. How do the manufacturing costs compare to China? This is from David.
Okay, that's a good question. Like, it's well known said that there's a lot of people that said, oh yeah, Mexico is 3 or 4 times more expensive than China. Again, we're not China, and there is some rules in the government that we cannot have slavery, and there is some things that go directly to the cost. But with the problem right now with the shipping and the tariffs and the high shipping, I can tell that in some products the difference could be a 10% or something like that in some cases. I've seen other cases that it's probably almost equal if you add all the costs that you are paying right now for manufacturing that product in China. That it's going to be right now it could be very similar. I'm not saying in every product. There's a lot of products that are going to be more costly because they're handmade, or the process. Even if a machine does a part, there is people doing the other process. So, and we're not in the not the big manufacturers, but the majority of the manufacturers are not that big. So their procedures are still lacking of technology. Let's put it that way. So that makes the cost increase, But sometimes what I see is they compensate that with quality, So.
Excellent. All right. And then Paul asks, as there is no Alibaba for Mexico, how do you find products and suppliers?
It could be basically with a Google search. But again, you need to know exactly what are the right words to find those products. And that's why I encourage people to do that research. One of the things that a client told me that he did, it was not very successful, but that's a route. They go to this local markets websites, and they see, like, they try to talk with the seller to figure it out if they are the manufacturer. there is a website called Mercado Libre, right? So they go there, but not. I don't find it completely reliable just because you don't know who's behind the product. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I told them I didn't suggest them to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one of
Yeah.
the ways that some people are like finding their products, at least to
Mm-hmm.
know if they manufacture that in Mexico.
And Susana, are there any trade shows for Mexico, for Mexican made products
Yeah,
manufacturers?
I mean,
Is
there's
there
a
like a
lot.
Canton Fair? You know, like China has
No,
that huge, yeah.
I will say
Mm-hmm.
no, just because there is trade shows, but are very specific. For example, there is trade shows just for. It is not a trade show for that you're gonna find manufacturers or different things. It's just
Mm-hmm.
probably if you're in the industry of auto parts, then yes,
Yep.
you will
Yep.
find a trade show for auto parts. But are very the trade shows are very specific, for
Mm-hmm.
certain
Yep.
needs. But that doesn't mean you're gonna find there the manufacturers. Probably you're gonna find the people that are already selling those products.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Denise asks, are the supplements manufactured in Mexico? Are the facilities GMP certified?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Excellent. Denise followed up asking, what are the legal fees incurred in Mexico? Do you need a Mexican corporation? I assume to import into the US from a Mexican manufacturer. Are you familiar with that?
No, I mean, no, you if you want to just buy from a Mexican company, you don't need a Mexican corporation to do that.
Okay. Okay. Samuel commented earlier, I believe he works in customs clearance in the US. Samuel commented, you don't need a Mexican corporation. The seller usually handles the export, or they can contact an exporter. Sometimes the seller can be the exporter and the manufacturer, but sometimes they can all be different parties. What do you think,
Yeah,
Susana?
in most of the cases, like for example, with the clients that we've been helping, um, yeah, the manufacturer is they buy the products from the manufacturer, and we help them with the logistics just to import the goods to the U.S.
Hmm, I see.
But
Okay.
there's
Um,
it could be different entities. It's
yeah. Okay. And Samuel, I saw that you're working in customs, and this is a hot topic. Several other people in the chat were asking questions. So Samuel, if you'd like to send me an email, support@sevenfiguresellersummit.com. Just mentioned you were on the Susana live webinar today. I'd love to find out more about what you're doing, and maybe we can work something together to help teach our community even more about importing customs clearance, because I know that's an important topic as well. So thanks, Samuel.
yeah.
On to Ron. Ron asks, which Mexican states have most of the manufacturing?
I will say it depends on the niche, but I would say Tijuana is one of them. Tijuana is very big. They have a lot of manufacturers, but there is a lot of manufacturers all over. It just depends on the type of the product. It depends for leather goods and things like that. In León, Guanajuato is one of the biggest places that they can do this. Um, Actually, something that I forgot to mention. Let me give you an example. In Yucatan, they have a factory, a manufacturer, where they can do garments for the NASA, right? So
Wow.
those are the type of things that you will never imagine that are made in Mexico. But that's the type of, when we talk about later about quality, earlier about quality, that's one of the things. If NASA is doing garments for the labs, or the some of the shoes or things like that for the NASA,
Yeah.
well, I think they're gonna be very good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're making spacesuits, that says something, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to round out the chat. We're at the end of the hour. Susana, do you have a few more minutes, or do you have to run? I want to be respectful of your time.
No. I can
Okay.
say something
Um,
maybe.
Very quickly, Charlene asks, is there a fee for her company services? Do you want to share a little bit about that, Susana?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, it will depend. I also, I mean, I really like to see every case in particular, because I need to see what services the sellers are going to need, like, not in every case it's is the same. I get people also that sometimes they are already manufacturing in Mexico, and they just need some consulting about that, or they just need to find a warehouse to to um, to move their products, or quality inspections, or things like that. So it will depend on the needs of the seller. So
right.
that's you
Okay.
know
Okay. And then Paulina asks, can you find the right manufacturer and do the exporting process for us?
yes,
Okay, excellent.
yes.
Kimberly asks, are there many plastic injection molding manufacturers in Mexico?
I don't know if many, but I know a few companies that can do plastic injection.
Okay, excellent. And Robert asked, yes, this is recorded. There will be a replay. Anybody that registered for the webinar, you will get an email with the replay in about 12 hours. Or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're joining us at our 7-Figure Seller Summit YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified once every video comes out, and then you can just go to our channel to watch the replay. All right. Osmar asks, do you help US sellers sell on Mexico, Amazon Mexico?
Uh, well, I've had a few cases of that. Yeah, we can connect you with a company that it's probably gonna be the best fit for that, because we have knowledge, and we help at the beginning, but it's too much. Like right now, we're concentrating on sourcing and help them to just start sourcing their products. But I can, if you shoot me an email, I can try to help you on that end too.
Excellent. All right. Taxi Dancer asks, what type of manufacturing is in Coahuila? Am I saying
Coahuila.
that right? Coahuila.
I don't have, I don't have nothing in the top of my mind.
Okay.
Coahuila.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I don't expect you to be like a walking encyclopedia. So maybe we'll save that for round two if you're open to it. If actually, Susanna, I wanted to share with you. I'm creating something new. Like this week, I created this new series called the 7-Figure Case Study, where
Mhm.
I'm actually building a brand new e-commerce business, selling on Amazon and other online e-commerce platforms from scratch. So we just started this week with choosing a profitable product. And later during the sourcing phase, if you're open to it, I would love to invite you back. Maybe we can look at these different products and see, hey, maybe we can do this in Mexico. This is where we can do it. This is what the supply chain is going to look like. Or maybe, oh no, those wouldn't work because Mexico just doesn't do that. I mean, would that be interesting to you,
Yeah, of course.
Susanna? I mean,
Anything that I can do to help, and to, like I mentioned before, my big interest is that many people know the capabilities that we have in Latin America and in Mexico, to be able to support all the sellers that are like wanting to just get out of China, and also other thing that I forgot to mention, that I think is very important for them, and that I
yeah.
saw in the questions, is that if they are trustworthy, right? So I
Mhm.
know that there is a lot of people that are concerned of that they are like stealing their designs and things like that. So I think that in Latin America, we're more respectful of the NDAs that are in place, and knowing that there's a lot of proximity. That's a good thing, that you can just travel to see your manufacturer, and get start, like I mentioned, a partnership with them, and a trust relationship with them if you take the time to do it. And I think, you know, with NDAs in the middle, and that trust, building that trust, that can work out.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. Actually, there was one other question I wanted to address. I know we're over time. In terms of like safety and like, you know, people say like cartels, you know, like I don't mean to stereotype people. And Nathan, you know, he put it this way: I'm too scared to go down into Mexico. I live in San Diego. There's opportunity to go down, but you have to be careful, right? I think, you know, Nathan, you know, speaks for a lot of people, right? Maybe like subconsciously they had that feeling. You know, I've never been to Mexico. I'm from LA, born and raised. You know, like my best friend was from Mexico. I never went to Mexico. What's it like? I mean, just maybe if you can sum it up in like 1 minute or so.
I mean, I cannot guarantee that nothing's going to happen because I'm not God and I don't know. But I think there's a misconception of, you know, for many people, Mexico is a very safe place. I mean, I know there is cartels and all those things, but they have troubles between them. It's not that you as a visitor or as a, you know, a person that wants to do business there are going to be in danger just for being there. I mean, even that can happen if you go to China or to other countries. You know, that's something that you can never guarantee. And I will not be too afraid of those things. You know, if you want to make your business grow, you need to take the chances. And I'm not saying that you have to risk your life, but what I'm saying is that, you know, you cannot miss the opportunity to make your business grow just because you're too scared of that if the cartels are going to, you know, I mean, that's just a way to see it. Maybe me as a Latin American, I don't feel like a threat of just being in Mexico. I live in Mexico myself for 6 or 7 years, and I never had a bad experience in Mexico, even living there. And trust me, I was like everywhere in different places. That in some manufacturers there are like in very particular places, and no, you know, like I that never happened. But I mean, I can speak for everybody, but I will not be so concerned about that.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And some others weighed in. There's more crime per capita in San Diego. I've been to Oaxaca 4 times and we're returning heartbeat. Mexico City is any big city. How are you cautious in New York City? I mean, I grew up in LA. There's a ton of crime. Like my mom got robbed several times in LA, and even you know, in so-called nice neighborhoods, right? So you know, it is what it is. I think anywhere, you know, beautiful, hardworking people. So
that's a good thing. I also, as a culture, and I want to highlight this, as a culture, we're very welcoming of people, you know, and we're very open to, you know, to work, because if you keep in mind, most of the products that I've been sourcing for like all these years, or the sellers that I've been helping, they in 2 cases, they travel to know the manufacturer, and this manufacturer were like, it was a family, 20 people, and they all eat, and from that money they go to school from that money, and they build the entire life for through that company, you know. So when they start, the sellers start coming to Mexico to meet with them, it was really nice, because now they realize that their products also have a purpose, you know. It's not just selling for selling, it's just it's more there. And also they are using they make some videos, and they're using that for their brand, you know, so people can understand what they're buying, you know, made from Mexican hands, with love for their customers.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, on that note, I'd love to chat more, but I want to be respectful of Susana's time and everyone else's time. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Susana, for coming on and sharing this wealth of knowledge about Mexico. I think, I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else did too. I encourage you to follow up if you'd like to learn more about sourcing from Mexico. I'm going to put Susana's email in the chat for you guys, and hopefully we will be able to bring you back in the future.
Yeah.
Seven
Anytime.
figure case study. We may have some new product opportunities, and I'd love to run it by you. I mean, you're the expert when it comes to Mexico. All right, guys. So
I'm learning too a lot.
we all are. The whole world's
Yeah.
changing so fast now. I mean, this like whole supply chain, it's like once in 100-year phenomenon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Texi Dancer says supplier tour. I'm there. So maybe
Yeah.
that's an opportunity for you, Susana. Maybe supplier tour.
No, actually,
Um,
we're planning
yeah.
one, but I'm not sure yet when it's gonna be. But
Sanghi
it's.
requested that. Would you consider it supplier tour?
I can see if I can give you more information, and we need to check with my business partner. But I think in December we're gonna do one. It's gonna be very small. Probably it's gonna be just like around 10 people. But
Okay.
yeah, we're doing that on December. I think it's the first week.
Definitely let me know, Susana. I would love to help share the tour once it's out. I already see there's a lot of people interested. All right. Denise, thank you, Gary and Susana. Vida.
I love
Says,
that.
thank you both. Awesome. We'd love to
Thanks
hear
to you
more from
guys.
Susana. Thanks again. This was great. From Lizzie. Debbie says, count me in on a supplier tour. Denise said, I would love a supplier tour. Jen says, I would love that too. I mean, this is a broken record, Susana. I think
What I can promise is that we're gonna have a lot of fun, and also we're gonna eat delicious, because food in Mexico, it's top of the. I mean, it's top of the world. I just love.
I
The
love Mexican food. I mean, if we can have some nice tacos, quesadillas, like margaritas,
Margaritas.
good.
We're gonna eat a lot and dance a lot.
Awesome. That's one thing missing from Asian culture. That I love the Latin American, the like the salsa, the music, and
Yeah,
the passion.
we're gonna do a lot of that.
That's something. Yeah. Definitely keep me posted. I would love to go. Thank you, ditto. Gracias, Susana. Thank you so much. Keep us
You're
posted,
welcome.
Susana. This was great stuff, and
Thank you.
thank you everybody for joining us. Definitely follow up with Susana if you like to learn more, and we'll wait for that supplier tour once it's ready. All right. So
Yeah.
take care, guys, and
thank you, everybody,
so much.
and muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. All right. Bye, guys. We will see you at the next session. Take care.